Hey angels, how are we all doing today? Welcome to the channel of Angel Guidance with myself, the Soul of Jade. I have actually decided on saying soul instead of spirit, especially considering the conversation I had a few weeks ago where someone believed we didn't have a soul. And as I've been manoeuvring through more of the things that I've read and understanding the soul a bit more, I realised that is quite a key reference to how it is we show up in the world, and that the soul is who we are. So we are back again for episode 5 on growing and evolving into the person we want to be. Today's episode is about loneliness, and loneliness to me is a very important part of the journey of really venturing through and peeling back the layers of who it is you were and journeying into that new path where you're becoming who you want to be. One of the things I touched on before closing out the last video was how the journey itself usually requires us to be a bit lonely at times, to go into hermit mode, isolation, and to really reflect in our own little bubble. And even while we have people around us, we can feel even more so lonelier because they're not understanding the new person we're coming into, or how much we're having to strip back of ourselves to actually recognise where changes are asking to be made. So one of the key things I want to highlight is loneliness is something that I think we go through within this journey, or at least I've recognised, because when you're moving through this new space of evolution, you're having to take a step back from who it is you were. Your current reality isn't going to look the same because you're having to question everything, and you're wondering, is this the right movement for me? And when you feel disaligned, you have to think, am I going to keep plodding along within this disalignment, or am I going to reflect back, maybe take a step back within my own little bubble and space, and just think, where is it I can re-navigate? Where is it that I'm being asked to move to? And sometimes that pathway is moving away from the familiar into the unknown. And this is the importance of surrender as well, not having to know the path ahead, but trusting and having faith that you are led, and that's something that's going to guide you along your path and your way. Within this journey of loneliness, you've got to think about, what is it that I'm being asked to do? What is it that this space is asking of me? And sometimes it is just pure rest. Sometimes it is pure recuperation of isolation for you to sit with yourself and just relax. Sometimes when you've been through a massive transition in life, or a massive circumstance that has impacted you so much emotionally, physically, mentally, and that capacity has just been completely dwindled, you're being asked to take a step back and really reflect in this space, really surrender into the space of relaxation, however that looks for you. I mean, I know for some people, for myself included, that just involves sleeping, sometimes really resting and recuperating in that regard, because sleep is such a powerful tool. On top of that, doing things that nourish your soul, doing things that make you feel whole again. And that's just made me think of that song. Is it Viva Forever? I'll be waiting, everlasting, like the sun. The song that I thought about is called Viva Forever from, I think it's Spice Girls. Such a cute little video they've got going on there, lots of little fairies, definitely go watch it. Funnily enough, I think that actually they're in the little bubbles, so that kind of coincides there. Little confirmation for me, maybe a confirmation for someone else as well. So yeah, back to this stillness and really finding ways for you to feel whole again. It's important for you to think and be honest with yourself. Where is it that I need to really sit down and relax and give myself that nourishment? Just to reflect on some of the experiences I've journeyed through when experiencing loneliness, is really wondering what it is that I'm being asked to reflect on. When you're in the isolation and loneliness, you have less outside noise, you have less interruptions, and what do they say, too many cooks in the kitchen. There's no other thoughts except your own, and this is the vital part, and something that's very rewarding within being in a state of loneliness. And I speak of loneliness from a perspective of isolation and hermit and hibernation, because I genuinely believe that's an important stepping stone when you're stripping back your layers and understanding yourself into a new direction. Saying that, I would ask you to consider, what is it that I'm being asked to reflect on during this time? What is it that I can do to, as I said, connect with the soul? Something I've also noticed when sitting in the stillness and being lonely is sometimes it's when I'm in that transition phase and recognizing that I've had to lose a lot of what's been known to me. Sometimes it hasn't been beneficial, but something that's been familiar, so I've held on tightly, and really trusting that those things falling away is making way for the new. And as people say, when one door closes, another opens, but you've got to remember that isn't usually instant. That's something that takes time. That's something that is going to be shown to you step by step. And this is the important part as to why loneliness and being in hibernation is vital to that journey, and you extracting things from your life that can't come on this new path with you. When you experience that, it's devastating in ways, because you're now being delivered with choices of, do you want to keep this, do you want to let go of that, or are you going to break free and allow yourself to step into that wish that you've been dreaming of one on the timer then. And that's the key thing. You've got to be honest with yourself. You have to really sit and reflect, what is it that I can do to partake in moving my life in the direction I want it to go? And within that loneliness, that's when you're going to realise that, because there's no noise. That stillness is you having chance to think. And this is where an outlet's really important as well, having an outlet for you to express. One of my go-tos, as mentioned episode 1, is journaling. That's been such an insightful way for me to see how my journey has progressed, and also reflecting on where my mind's at in the current state of my world at that point in time, and where I can be more present and just learning from myself. It's almost like having an advisor, but you are your own advisor, aren't you? To bring in some more angelic presence and the connection that I believe we have, that I know we have when we tune in and accept and receive, is knowing that loneliness, although it may seem lonely on the physical realm and the 3D realm, is that on the higher dimensions and the other worlds and the other beings around you are supporting you. Knowing that guidance is there at hand when you're ready to receive is priceless. It's something that you have to allow yourself to believe in, and belief goes such a long way. Even just the little signs. Some of my signs are seeing feathers, angel numbers, songs that appear, and I think, wow, that resonates so much. And also just other situations where I stumble past something and I think, oh, that's touched my heart a little bit. And just being open to those connecting pieces, or connecting the dots, I should say, allows you to feel more connected, even while it might not be in physical reality or you're having to decode things. I know that for some people this can be something where, and I'm trying not to over explain myself here, but I want to explain, because I think I understand people's skepticism. I understand why people think, gosh, why do you think like that, or how can you think like that? But you have to believe like that. How can you not? It's either you choose to wallow and you choose not to believe there's support there, or you at least believe it and accept it when it arrives. It may not be in the actual way that you expect it to be. It might be something that you have to decode or reword, or it only ticks on your brain in a few days later, or it's not something that's going to be evident sometimes. Sometimes it is a slap in the face, but it's a good slap in the face. It's things that are showing you evidently the guidance that is around you. And I just want to stress that, because the more and more that I would move in the world, and the more I connect with other people that don't share these insights or beliefs, I see that it's difficult for them. And then that just makes me, feel really sad for them. But again, everyone's on their own journey. It just makes me want to share this even more. So yeah, I wanted you to consider today, whenever you're watching, whenever you're guided to this video, to think, what is it that I would like a sign on? Ask your angels, ask your team, ask God, whatever you believe in, to send you a sign of something that maybe you're a bit questionable on. For instance, if you're wondering about a decision to make, ask for a sign. Ask for a message to be delivered, and be receptive to that, and be open to interpretation. A very important part to this experience, because there's different layers, there's different ways that we can be communicated to. Seeing as I brought up surrender within this video so far, I wanted to express a song that I absolutely adore. This song really carried me through an experience where I felt incredibly lonely and at a time in life where my heart had been shattered. So I wanted to share this song with you. I'm just going to put a little photo here. It's called Surrender by, I think it's pronounced Anima. However, don't take me for the pronunciation. And this song I would recommend to put some headphones on, no distractions, close your eyes and just sink into the feelings of the sounds and the different waves of emotions that appear for you. It's quite an evoking song, and it very emotive in terms of my journey with this music. Very medicinal to, the journey of healing, that's for certain. When journeying through that surrender and really believing that you can believe and have hope and have faith is not to say that you're going to be dilly-dallying through life and that you don't have to make any decisions, because you are an active participant. As I mentioned in one of my other videos, you have free will for a reason, and that's because you can make choices. It's for your experience. You're learning through experience and practical experience, but also that's why the importance of reflection is there. But back to this surrender. Allow the signs to be shown to you. Give yourself, the opportunity to try something without thinking too rigidly, without trying to control a situation. Control is something that is such a daunting perspective to have, and it's a difficult emotion to work through as well, because most of the time you don't have control over a lot of things, and it's mostly just yourself you have control over. And this brings me on to the next topic that I wanted to speak about, where loneliness and really sitting with your own soul, because you are the only person you have. 111 on there. Of course, you have your angels, your guides, and all the rest of that, but what really comes down to it is you only have yourself face to face here right now. And I think this is the importance of reflecting and understanding yourself and recalibrating when you're being asked to, because before you know it, that next transition is going to be here. You're cycling through one thing and then you're on to the next, and that is the journey of life. One of the key takeaways I want to remind you of, and this is a quote I heard years ago, is just because you're thirsty, don't drink poison. And this is one of the key things I recognise within people, loneliness and people that are self-soothing in ways. They hang around people that aren't really benefiting them, but it gives them a sense of purpose. Well, false purpose, I should say. It's temporary satisfaction. It's dopamine hits and tendencies that have been self-soothing in the previous past, but they don't actually have the positive impact that we're trying to move forward to. And that's where perspective comes into things, and that brings me on to my next episode of perspective. I wanted to bring perspective into the picture because when growing and evolving into the person you want to be, your perspective is everything. When you're understanding yourself, when you're understanding other people, when you're moving through the world, your perspective is very important, and having that inner perspective where you're not being overcritical of yourself, where you're actually believing in yourself, that's going to help you propel in the world and have a wider perspective on what the horizon has in store for you and what the future can bring you. So thank you for watching. If you did like, do comment, share and subscribe if you feel like doing that. And I look forward to hearing from you if there's any comments or insights that anyone may have had. Get my words out. Yeah, all the best. Have a wonderful day or night whenever you're watching. Lots of love, angel guidance.